What was it like? You know, you're an adult, you're an actor, and you're working with all these kids. What was that like?
I didn't treat them like that.
Really?
No. It was. First of all, I was glad to have a job, seriously, and secondly, there was one day in the first week with Mark Paul. We're in the office, and the director is doing something, and he walks away, and I decided to ask him what he thought of the scene. Normally, you know, I did think that, you know, maybe I can help these kids. I know a little bit more than them and all that kind of stuff. They had their own experience, but I looked at Mark Paul and I said, "What do you think of this scene?" And he looked at me like, "You really want to know?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, here's what I think," and he had good ideas. Well, from that point on, I treated them as equals. I mean, I felt like I did. I tried to. And I think Mr. Belding wanted to be one of the kids. But when it came down to it, he had to be the principal. And that was the same ethic that we used on the show. Whatever they did to Mr. Belding on Tuesday, he still had to be the principal on Wednesday. That was the rule of thumb. And eventually it got really, really broad. But early on, the kids treated with respect, and he always tried to do what was right for the kids and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool watching the whole thing. And we had 7 plus 13. That means we had 7 shows, and then we might do 13 more. Well, this time, instead of saying, "Thank you, but we're not going to do it anymore," we did more. And then that was it. We went away. And then they decided, let's do some more. And we did 19, I think, or 23, I'm not sure. And then they said, that's it. We didn't have a continuing deal, as one of my ex-agents thinks. We did not have a continuing deal. We had a set amount of deals. And then it was over. And then we did more. And then we had another rap party. And then we did more, we had another rap party. And they just happened to keep adding shows. And eventually we did... Oh, and by the way, they came to me one day. Linda Mancuso came to me one day, who passed away a few years ago. But she was VP of Saturday Morning, and then she became president of Peter Engel Productions. She said, "You know, Dennis, we're gonna take the show away from the school for a while." I went, "Okay, what does that mean?" She goes, "That means we're not going to use you." I went, "Jeez," because I couldn't believe it. They decided to do the beach episodes and some of the Palm Springs or whatever that stuff. It didn't work as well as the school. So, I know, you're right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Well, that was a blessing.
Seems like a whole different series.
It was a blessing for me because they came back to the school. It's kind of like with the Dukes of Hazzard. When Bo and Luke walked off the show over a merchandising thing, ratings went down because they proved the show wasn't about the car. Well, the dynamic for Saved by the Bell People magazine was 6 students and their principal. They left me out of the reunion thing, whatever.
Shame on you.
Yeah, shame on you, seriously. You really didn't know the show. But I got more attention and more publicity, more PR because they were rude to me than if they put me in.
When did you know the show was a hit?
Well, they sent the kids on a mall tour, and they got their clothes ripped out and torn out. We really didn't know till like the 2nd or 3rd season. They started sending shows to TBS in the afternoon. When we had 36 in the can taped, they sold them to TBS out of Atlanta, and they started airing them. And then you could feel the momentum start to build. And eventually we became #1 on Saturday morning, which was a big deal.
I'm really curious about, you're an adult, you're working with these kids,
Yep.
They're going through puberty. Did you feel like, and although they were your colleagues, did you feel that you needed to be their mentor or more than their friend?
I wanted to be their mentor. They didn't want a mentor. They didn't need a mentor. They had their parents, you know, and we would, after every episode, go somewhere as a group. We really were together. So we would go to Ed DeBevick's in Beverly Hills, or we would go to Jerry's Deli and hang out. And I think that bonded us to come back on the set. But there were times when I would talk to them about different things, you know. I mean, Mark Paul's tired of hearing this, but I bought him his first razor. You know, I mean, it was like some adult needed to buy him his first razor. Little things like that, you know, but they were all professionals coming in.
How was Dustin on the set?
Dustin was fun. Here's the thing about Dustin. And I'm not going to talk about the other stuff, but when Dustin did Miss Bliss, he was 11. The other kids were already 13 and 14. When we started Saved by the Bell, Mario keeps reminding me, I think he was 15 when he started. So there was a 2-year difference at least. I think Elizabeth was the oldest, with her was 3. So imagine being in high school or middle school, and you're in the 6th grade, and you're having to hang out with 8th and 9th graders. They don't want you to hang out. Well, they were nice to him sometimes, but Dustin was different. You know, it was his job to be different. That's why he was there, and he embraced that. But it doesn't mean it felt good. So You know, there was a little bit of defensiveness and things like that, but I tried to watch out for him. You know,
you were kind of like his big brother.
Well, kind of, yeah. You know, his mom passed away while we were doing the show. I mean, it wasn't easy. You know, college years was going on, and it didn't work.
No.
They tried to take the high school and make it college, and it just didn't work. So they brought Dustin back because they could logically make the step that he went to college. He was on a work-study program, and Dustin and I became a team. Rather than him being with the students as it was before, he was with me, and we were really good together. You know,
we had no problems. He was great.
No, we were good because we were all we were original.
Right.
We were old school. Everybody else was new. Now there were great people in the new class. I mean, Lindsay McKeon nominated for 3 Daytime Emmys, you know, and kind of a while. Sarah Lancaster, who's just working all over the place. She's on Chuck right now and done a bunch of other things. You know, so there were good people on the show, but we were still running a race a little bit faster than them. Dustin and I would have a scene in the office, and he would say, "Hey, Dan, what do you think?" And I go, "Well, how about I'll come around the desk? Okay. When you get there, do that thing. Okay, yeah. And then once I do that, we'll go, okay, got it." We didn't even finish our sentences. And sometimes they didn't want us to do certain things, and we'd try them anyway. You know, on Thursday, we just kind of throw stuff in that we thought was funny, and we didn't like, you know, as the show went on, and we had really good writers, don't get me wrong. We had really, really good writers, because every day it would get better. But we'd have ideas that we want to try, and sometimes they took our ideas. The hey, what is going on here? My idea. They wrote the line, hey, what's going on here? But our director, Don Barnhart, at the time, used to go, hey, blah, 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 trying to get the kids, you know, trying to get the kids settled down. So they wrote the line. So I decided I'm going to have fun with Don and do it the opposite. So instead of going, hey, I went, hey, what is it? And everybody cracked up because it was an inside thing. But they kept it. And they kept it, and eventually it became something everybody likes.
What was your favorite Saved by the Bell episode?
Ooh. My favorite Saved by the Bell episode is when my brother Rod came to school. He was going to take the kids on a rafting trip. They liked him a lot. He was like a big deal, and I was kind of jealous. One day he comes to my office, and everybody's gone. I thought. Zach's listening in the hallway, and he comes into my office, and he says, "You know, Richie, I got a date with this Olga, flight attendant, and I'm not going to take the kids on a rafting trip." And Mr. Belding says, "Get out of my school, Rod." Even to his own brother, he would do what's right for the kids. Zach heard it. The assumption is that he went back and told the rest of the kids. Mr. Belding comes around and says, "Listen, Rod's sick. He can't go." He covered for him. And still, he says, "I don't know much about rafting, but if you'll let me, I'll take you." And that was it. That was the relationship of Mr. Belding and the students. Mr. Belding and the students, something magazine.
What was it like when you knew it was over?
It was over years before it was over.
What do you mean?
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I know, but
yeah.
Explain it to them.
We had done every episode several times. The show was on. It was successful. We were still going on. But really, I was so used to going to work on Saved by the Bell that one day, and we used to do 26 episodes because we would do 2 episodes on a Saturday. We would start early in the season, earlier than most primetime shows. And we would start early and get them done because we would have to catch up in the production schedule. One day they came to us and they only wanted 13. You know, uh-oh, this might be it. But used to going to work. It was nice getting a steady paycheck. But also, you're only going to play a role for a certain amount of time. I was just on 2 episodes of Men of a Certain Age and getting ready to do a pilot with John Schneider, from Bo Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard.
How funny.
And I play Carmen Electra's husband.
Good for you.
Eat your hearts out.
Yeah.
Carmen's a wonderful person. I've met her.
And actually a great singer.
Yeah, she's a dancer, started as a dancer. I've met her many, many times. She's just a really, really nice person. So I've done other things. But having played Mr. Belding for so long was pretty cool. I mean, I'll be Mr. Belding for the rest of my life.
Does that bother you at all?
No. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I'm thrilled when everybody comes up and says, "Hi, Mr. Belding. Thanks, Mr. B. Even yo Belding," you know, stuff like that. Sometimes casting can't see past it, but that's their.
That's got to be frustrating, right?
It was for a while. But it's changed. Men of a Certain Age is a really, really good show. I just got down to the wire on the national tour of Wicked. I got down to me and another guy for the role of the Wizard. Broadway doesn't mess around. You don't get that close unless you know what you're doing. And by the way, thank you to them for letting me even get that close. You know, having that opportunity.